know nothing about. You snake! You signed them love. He saw, first with relief, almost hilarity, then horror, and finally sadness, that nothing in his life was certain now, except that his marriage was ending. He put it down to solitude. He did not want to say loneliness. He owned a men's clothing store, and business had been, you said, slow, not bad, for years. The store was failing. The history of the store was the history of his family in Medford, their insertion in the town, their wish to belong. Ellis's grandfather, an Italian immigrant, had been apprenticed to a tailor on his arrival in New York. His first paying job was with the man's cousin, also a tailor, in rural Williamstown, Massachusetts, where he arrived on the train knowing no English. He helped to make suits for the wealthy college students there. Though he was no older than they were, he knelt beside them, unspooling the tape against their bodies, and shyly spoke their measurements in Italian. 3 years of this, and then a job as a cutter in a tailor shop in Boston's North End. On his marriage, striking out on his own, he borrowed money from his widowed mother-in-law, who was to live with them until she died, and rented space in Medford Square, opening his own tailor shop. The move to Medford involved another move, more tidying. He became a new man, changing his name from Francesco Falcone to Frank Hock. He had asked a tailor in the North End to translate Falcone, and the man had said Hawk in the local way, and the scarcely literate man had written it in tailor's chalk on a remnant of cloth, spelling it as he heard it. This was announced on a sign: Hock's Tailors. Frank became known as a master tailor, with bolts of fine quality woolen cloth and linen and silk and Egyptian cotton stacked on his shelves. He smoked cigars as he sewed, and, still only in his 30s, employed 2 assistants as cutters and for basting. His wife, Angelina, bore him 3 sons. The eldest baptized Andrea, called Andrew, whom he designated as his apprentice. Business was good, and Frank Hock so frugal he saved enough to buy his shop and eventually the whole building. He had income from the tenants on the upper floors and from the other shops, including a Chinese laundry, Yee's, next door. Joe Yee pressed the finished suits and gave him a red box of dried lychees every Christmas. When Andrew Hock returned from the Second World War, Medford Square began to modernize. Old Frank turned the business over to Andrew, who had worked alongside his father. But Andrew had no interest in the fussy drudgery of tailoring. Plagued with arthritis in his hands, the old man retired. Andrew sold the building and bought a premises in a newly built row of stores on Riverside Avenue. The Mystic River ran just behind it, and started Hock's Menswear, as an improvement on Frank's tailor shop on Salem Street. Ellis was born the year after Hock's Menswear opened, and later he too worked in the store throughout high school most afternoons, tramping the foot pedal and bringing down the lid of the pressing machine in the basement tailor shop with the tailor Jack Azanow, a Russian immigrant. Ellis also buffed shoes and folded shirts and rearranged the jackets after customers fingered them, milking the sleeves, his father's expression. Now and then he made a sale. Christmases were busy and festive with the frantic pleasure of people looking for presents, spending more money than usual, asking for the item to be gift-wrapped, another of Ellis's jobs. The activity of the store at this season, and Easter and Father's Day, the vitality of it, the obvious profit, almost convinced him that he might make a career of the business. But the certainty of it alarmed him like a life sentence. He hated the notion of confinement in the store. But what was the alternative? On graduation from Boston University, a biology major, facing the draft, Vietnam, he applied to join the Peace Corps, and was accepted. He was sent to a country he'd never heard of, Nyasaland, soon to be the independent Republic of Malawi, and became a